this battle we are taking on Fever X, and this is actually quite the long battle, so I have this in 2 times speed so that we don't sit here for 30 whole minutes. So anyways, you can see that this guy has quite the setup. I actually really dig his team because he's got Toxicity and Shiny Mega Gardevoir. You don't see those every day, and I was actually a bit scared. I don't know what to really expect from Gardevoir or Toxicity. Now Cinderace also is a bit unique to me. It's a bit foreign because it's a newer Pokemon, but I mean I've kind of just seen what that does, especially with Libero. I mean it can be pretty annoying, but like it's still like not the worst. So anyways, he goes into Dragapult, and what I really should have done here is just gone for Bullet Punch twice, but I decided to switch out into Toxapex because I was kind of thinking, well, I do want to preserve the HP on my Sizer. I really need that just to take care of Gardevoir in case it gets out of hand, because Gardevoir is pretty speedy at base 100 speed. It gets substitutes. It can get dangerous if you're not careful. So anyways, I go into Toxapex here because Toxapex really is my brain dead check to the majority of the combat sweepers in this game. Now of course it won't stop everything like a ground type sweeper, but you know it's good enough to shut down most of the common ones, like I said, like Dragapult. I mean it's not really the ultimate check because it still takes pretty big damage, but you know it's able to you know stand its ground well enough. So anyways, I decided to switch into Tangrowth here so I can get my Regenerator HP back on Toxapex, and also because I wanted to get a Sleep Powder off on his Dragapult so I can get my Absol in. I'm just trying to find an opportunity to get Absol in and use it because I really haven't got much spotlight for it yet. So anyways, he goes into Cinderace and I'm lucky to land my Sleep Powder, so I'm thinking, well, this is a great chance to get Absol in and do some good damage. So the only thing was, I was wondering why this guy stayed in. So I was scared he might have some sort of fighting type move. Anyways, I mean, a good sign was that I was actually able to outspeed him on the first turn. So maybe this guy has like full adamant or something else, because I mean the fact that I outsped him is kind of crazy, especially because base Absol with using its pre-mega speed isn't actually that fast. So anyways, he goes to the Dragapult, and I was about to go for a knockoff, but I was like, well, he's actually probably switched in for a reason. That's because he has U-turn, and I remember him using it earlier, so I decided to go into Skarmory because Skarmory basically takes no damage from that since it has a 4x resistance and it's an actual defensive tank. So he goes into Toxicity here, and I was like, oh no, that's actually kind of scary. So I really don't know what this has, and the problem is I can't go into Toxapex or Tangrowth reliably because he has electric moves for Toxapex and poison moves for Tangrowth. So anyways, so I decided to go into Tangrowth expecting an electric type attack, but instead he goes for Shift Gear, which is insanely scary. It's like, oh no. I mean, at this point, this is dangerous. But I was thinking, well, Tangrowth's a good Pokemon because if he goes for a poison type attack, I can go into Sizer and I'll have an immunity, and then I can maybe Bullet Punch him off. But like, you know, the problem is that Toxicity practically resists all of my attacks in Sizer. So I mean, I do have to be pretty careful here. But anyways, though, I know that this guy is probably just trying to just set up more here because he knows I probably don't know what to expect. So he goes for another Shift Gear, I go for a knockoff, and then I realize he has an Electrinium Z, or whatever it's called. I don't know how to pronounce that. So I was thinking, well, this is definitely going to be the turn he uses his Z move. It was pretty predictable. So I go into Tangrowth here, and I know it's an electric type attack, so Tangrowth's going to handle this really well. And he does in fact go for it, which is his Gigawatt Havoc, and it doesn't really do that much damage. That's enough for me to just regenerate it in the next turn. Now I'm thinking, well, I think it's going to be predictable if I go into Sizer. So I may as well just stay in. But actually, maybe this guy predicted me predicting him because he goes for Gunk Shot, and that's too bad because I lose Tangrowth. But at the same time, you know, I wasn't too worried because I made that risk because I was thinking, well, I don't really know what Tangrowth's really going to help out with anymore because, like, you know, I mean, it's not like looking at his team is not going to be too much more useful. Like, it's basically done everything it's needed to do. So I go into Sizer here and I go for Bullet Punch, which is basically a checkmate. Now, if he wanted to, he could have switched out and capitalized off of that. But, you know, I mean, he doesn't really have too many Pokemon that want to switch into a Bullet Punch other than Gliscor. So next up, he goes into Greninja. And this is actually a problem for my team, especially because I don't have like Snorlax or any special defensive Pokemon here that's good against Greninja. Because Greninja gets really good coverage. Just having something that's just really tanky, it's just the best way to deal with it in my opinion. Like Snorlax, unless you're dealing with a physical Greninja, now that's different. But anyways, I mean, Toxapex is able to handle the Hydro Pumps pretty well, but Dark Pulse boosted by a life orb and stab, it's still gonna hit pretty hard. So anyways, that's not the problem for now. So actually he goes into Glasscore on my Toxic, which is annoying. So I normally like to try and knock off it and just stop it from, getting any status at all. But now he has status, and that's too bad. I can't get anything on him. So anyways, I go into Skarmory here. So I'm thinking, well, this is actually a great check for Glasscore, because Skarmory has the flying typing to resist his ground type attacks, and I have the steel typing to resist his flying type attacks. Now if he had like knockoff or rock slide, that would actually be quite problematic, but luckily this guy on his specific set does not have that. So anyways, I see this as a chance to set up spikes. So I really just want to do passive damage to punish his switching, and he goes back into Dragapult, and this is not really too fun. His Dragapult can do pretty good damage, but anyways, I go for a Brave Bird here, and that's good. It does sufficient damage. But I mean, to be honest though, in this turn I probably shouldn't have just gone for spikes, because I think Steel type resists Dragon. Actually, I kind of forgot. I don't know if that's Gen 5 or if it's still going on in this generation. But anyways, I decided to just go for a Roost, and Skarmory actually takes the attack really well, which is great. So I see this as another chance to get off another layer of spikes on this guy, and he switches out into his Greninja, which is really scary because I'm basically giving him more and more chances to just get damage off, because I really, once again, don't have much for Greninja. Anyways, I decided to go into Toxapex here, as I figured that this would be just a good way to absorb his Hydro Pump, because that was obviously what he was going to do. It does the most damage, and I'm glad I actually switched, because I was thinking about staying in there. Now of course I do have 30 on Skarmory, so I could afford to make a mistake to some extent, but like, it's not really a great idea, especially because I'm going to be relying on Skarmory to take care of Pokemon like Greninja. Anyways, I use Scald here just to get chip damage off. He does Dark Pulse, which actually does really high damage, and I'm not really sure or confident if I can live another one, and I do want to preserve my Toxapex, so I decide, well, it's time to go into Skarmory and take in another hit. So he goes for Dark Pulse, and it does big damage, but it's not too bad. Now, probably looking into it in hindsight, I should have been a bit more careful with my Skarmory, because I was actually fully reliant on it to take care of Glasscore, and I wasn't aware of how much of a threat it was going to be until later on in this battle. But anyways, I am able to take out the Greninja because it does kill itself with the Life Orb damage and everything, which is great. Now he goes into Glasscore, which is quite the problem. But the good thing is, Skarmory early on is a great check to Glasscore, as I said earlier. But the truth is, I don't really have anything that can get into Glasscore too easily. Now, if Skarmory dies, I have Volcarona with the Z Crystal that will probably outspeed and be able to do big damage. I have Absol with knockoff, it should be able to do big damage. And I have Sizer that has Bullet Punch that should be able to do decently big damage. So I'm not too ruined by this Pokemon. Like, I have some coverage and backup available. But I still want to be careful, because Glasscore, it can get out of hand against me, especially because I really don't use Pokemon that are great against it, because my Toxapex that would have provided the general resistances is weak to Earthquake, and I can't really use Haze on him because it's going to do super effective damage. And Tangrowth can't come in either, because he has Acrobatics, or he could have Acrobatics, and in addition, I mean, I can't really do anything to him in terms of status, because Sleep Powder won't affect him when he's already poisoned. The only thing I can do is really Giga Drain, and hitting a Power Ice would actually be the solution. But on my Tangrowth specifically, I don't know why. I don't have it, and I mean, it might have been me making a mistake with the IVs, but I mean, I specifically took time to look at the Hidden Power IV calculator to make sure I got it right. So I don't know. Anyways, here at this point though, this guy is fully set up and he has Acrobatics, and I realized, well, this is not good, because if he gets through Skarmory, I'm going to be in a pretty dangerous position where I'm going to have to start losing Pokemon, and I don't want that. So I decide, well, now I'm going to PP stall this guy. This is always my resort to Pokemon like Glasscore, which I really can't do anything about. And I remember, this reminds me of my previous battle against Wibix all the way back in the day, where I used Tangrowth and Toxapex to slowly PP stall the opponent. Except this is a far better situation, because Skarmory is actually taking these hits a lot better than my other Pokemon did. But anyways, you can see that he is really building up damage here with his attacks. And it isn't good for my team, and this says a lot. I definitely need to get more prepared for a Pokemon like Glasgow. Maybe even Weavile would be an easy solution as a revenge killing, but not really as a switch in. You can't really switch into this too easily and then like do enough damage to be scary enough. But anyways, here I decided I need to start doing something to make this guy, you know, have to heal or something. I'm thinking maybe I could get an opportunity for Volcarona to get in, but I was thinking on a turn that he uses Roost, he's gonna go back to full HP, and Volcarona wouldn't be able to really do anything because there's no way I one-shot him with my Z move. So, you know, I'm not really in the best position. But anyways, I decided to start, you know, wasting more PP because, like I said, this is the only thing I can really do here. Is I can't switch out. Snotty's gonna take Earthquake or Acrobatics well, and this is all I can do because Skarmory once again is my best answer to Glasgow. So I have to be strategic though about how I use Roost now, because if I use it and I don't get the full amount of HP gain from it, it's gonna cost me. And also, one good thing about this matchup is that he outspeeds me. Now you might think, well, wouldn't it be better to outspeed the Glasgow? That way I can get priority healing on him. But you have to consider that Roost makes me lose my flying type. So if I outsped him and used Roost, then he would be able to land his Earthquake and probably one-shot me. So anyways though, he does eventually yield and switch out. I figured that he probably ran out of attacks, or maybe not. He's probably really low and decided that this is the best play. So he goes into Dragapult, and really I could have gone into Sizer here, but I decided to go into Toxapex because I wanted to shut down a sweep in case he tried to go for one. And excuse my my yawning or any just like overall monotoneness, because I'm just so tired, and it's like 12 o'clock in the night when I'm publishing this. Anyways, I go into Toxapex and I recover on his attack, and I decided to go into Volcarona. I'm not really sure what I'm thinking. I think I was expecting like a Phantom Force or something, so I was thinking, well, I could go for a Quiver Dance, and then I could see if I can outspeed and then sweep the rest of this guy's team. But, you know, in this case, I mean, that was just a dumb move. Instead he goes for Dragon Dance. I'm like, well, now I don't need to stay in, so he's probably going to go for Dragon Darts. And in fact, he does. And it does really good damage right there to Toxapex. Enough to probably two-shot me, so I'm like, well, now I need to switch out. And I decided to go into Sizer because I think I can take a hit good enough, and I think I resist Dragon Darts. I mean, I actually forgot, that's the truth. It's been a while since I battled, but I decided, well, I want to get in and I just want to land a Bullet Punch, and I just want to see if I can do big enough damage to this guy to where something like Skarmory can come in and finish him off. But actually, Bullet Punch is enough to take care of Dragapult as a whole, so that's all I gotta say. Sizer really just comes in clutch when it's needed. So anyways, he goes back into his Glasgow once again. I'm like, well, this is not great, but I may as well just go back into Skarmory because it's my best answer. Sorry, once again, I had to yawn. But you know, I was still thinking about that because I don't want this guy to set up and get in the same situations. I know once he gets set up, I can't really, you know, turn around. I have to commit to Skarmory. But you know, in this case, I was like, well, I don't think he has enough acrobatics to be scary, so I may as well use Spikes. Now, you might ask, why don't I use Brave Bird? But that's because it does more chip damage. I'm also trying to gain passive recovery from the leftovers, so I have to be really strategic with how I play this. And once he runs out of acrobatics, that's enough to where Glasgow won't be able to harm Skarmory. Now, the truth is, I won't be able to harm him back, but, you know, it's going to be fine because the trade-off is going to be worth it, especially because I have a lot more Pokemon than this guy. Anyways, he eventually goes into Gardevoir, and I'm thinking, well, this is great time to go into Absol because Magic Bounce is going to shut down any status moves, and then in addition, he's probably going to go for Fairy, or for, well, actually, he's probably not going to go for a Fairy or Psychic attack. Now, if he went for Psychic, that would be perfect, but I wasn't expecting Fairy because Skarmory is a Steel Pokemon, and most people wouldn't go for that. Now, he could have gone for a fire type attack, I'm not really sure, but in this case he went for Hypnosis, which is great. Like, really, no matter what he did, Absol was a great switch in here because I was going to outspeed him, and Iron Tail was a guaranteed one-shot. Then he goes into Glasgow here, and I'm like, well, that's great. So now I can fully commit to just doing everything I can to take care of this glass car. Like, I don't have to worry about the Gardevoir. And I go for a knockoff, and to my surprise, it's actually enough to one-shot the glass car. So I guess Absol really is a powerhouse. So that is GG right there.